Hey guys, what's going on? So Saturday, pretty much just doing my breakdown now. Picked some pairs yesterday, gonna go through them again, filter in for some more pairs, and then see where we go from there. So pretty much gonna go through all of the currencies, and then gonna go through the commodities and indices after. So starting with the DXY, we can see that the DXY is getting commitment to the downside. So we retraced 50% of this overall impulsive move, and from there we actually came back up, and now it looks like we could be continuing into a downtrend. So I am anticipating something in similar size to this leg from the 50. So conveniently it does trade into that trend line. So what I am interested to see now is how we approach that. More interested to see us get to this point first. So understanding that there is momentum to the downside now, and basically we are moving in the dominant direction. I think with that move alone, yeah, we do have a lot of potential good opportunity in here. The only thing I don't really like about this is how we correctively began. However, understanding that we have accumulated a lot of volume in this area for price to continue to the downside. So there was structure within this, and like I said, it's not the best, but there's volume in here in accumulation to the downside. Now, is this the best structure to start off? Nah, not really. But I can now remove that, understand what it was, and now just keep it very, very simple, and we're just trading below here. The better thing is as well, we're trading below this area as well, where that was potentially an area where we could have come back, seen some sort of liquidity sitting there and pushed up higher. But at this point now, we're seeing us trading below this, which I think has given us an even better confluence. Now we just have to kind of anticipate what sort of nature we're going to see. Are we going to get something similar to what we had before, where we get these two touches? Are we going to get something a little bit more clean and continue to the downside? Will we just continue, get some flags, and kind of just continue in this sort of momentum? We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of potential on this one, and I wouldn't over forecast right now. I would say it's very easy to do that. However, right now I would just say that this was the, where is it, line in the sand. There we go. That is my line in the sand. So essentially now I'm just anticipating anything below this. This was essentially really good. Is it yet fully developed? There is the possibility that we can come for one more up. There is that possibility, and I wouldn't cross that off completely. But I don't think it's very likely at this point, looking at how price action has moved away. But I do understand that it's a possibility, and I think there is more than enough here now to just, you know, basically just understand this whole is the structure where, you know, we basically came in with a push down, correctively pushed up, tapped into the high, pushed down aggressively, didn't quite tap into that lower breaker below it, aggressively pushed back up, and then we just dropped off. I think looking at it as its candles doesn't look very clean, but when you kind of just simplify it and you look at it for what it actually is, it does make a little bit more sense. You know, we had enough, we had two clear tops, we had two clear bottoms, which wasn't a part of the subjective impulse down. So I think that was also something which I thought was pretty good. And then, you know, I think more than likely now I'm just anticipating this to kind of continue to the downside, understanding that we can get a little bit more complicated, where we could gravitate higher. I wouldn't let that put me off from being in the trade though. I would just understand that that's a possibility, but I think once we start trading lower and creating clear continuation to the downside, I wouldn't be too concerned about, you know, this. I'll just understand that as that was okay, that's my first positioning, and then this my scaling, for example, and then for example I'll be looking for the next trade. Could you take a reduced risk? I did think about this position here. Well, even now at market open, you know, you are pretty much looking at roughly an 83 pip stop loss. Is it worth it? you could probably get away with a 5% to the low. However, understanding that it could take a little bit longer than anticipated, but it could come very quickly because we are anticipating this to be quite an impulsive wave. However, there would be a larger correction in here somewhere, so you'd have to sit through this as well. And then the real question is, if we were to have something like that, wouldn't you much rather position yourself somewhere around about here, even with a 27 pip stop loss, which you could probably get away with quite easily, to the low? You're already trading a roughly around about 13%. So those are some questions you really want to be asking yourself. But yeah, absolutely, this does seem like the much safer option for sure. Going 80 odd pip stops, taking it to the low for a 5%, understanding that it could go lower, could turn into 7%. Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with that position. I would just say that if you were to wait a little bit longer, you get a better refined position, which is highly probable of happening, because it's unlikely that during this whole period here where we were selling off, if we just replicate that for a second and we mimic that over onto what we're seeing now, let me just grab that over here, invert that, flip it, take this off, and I'll just replay this back a little bit. Cool. And let's just look at it like this. If we had price action like this, think about the opportunities that you would have within that. So understanding where we are now, it's even if it was a little bit more impulsive, which I'd be more of a fan for personally, I could definitely see that happening. I could see something like this, which I think is definitely something I would be interested in. So if we look at where current price action is and just compare this over, and you look at it like this, okay, cool. So in relation, we had a strong impulse push down. We then had this sort of correction over here. We could be getting so many more, and that's why I think, just kind of jumping into a trade like this for the sake of 5%, it may not be worth it, because then if you're looking at this as the run, you could essentially, even if you were on point, you could take that on a phase line, and I'm just saying, even with a large stop loss, right, you could scale these up regardless. So you could have that 80 pip in there as well as this, but that would be your larger side, and then you'd probably go into something a little bit smaller. I'll probably go to the 1 for refinement, and then at the time you'd have to be on point with your pattern separation. You'd have to really understand, your overrides and whatnot as well. Once again, this is the line chart, so it won't be as clear as the candles, but it's pretty near enough there. And like I said, there would be a lot of opportunity within this as well. I would just understand that I'm just drawing this out for just some understanding there. So I would be less inclined to want to take a trade down here, but over here, absolutely. So like I said, if there's a trade that shapes up just like this, and you can get in over here with about 20 pip stop loss, let's say, even to that low, you're looking at 18%. That's for that trade alone, managed well. Probably you would have been out roughly around about here anyway. Manual close, probably around about 17. You're running about 18% there, so you'd probably be aggressive, probably be around about 16. You would have walked away, and let's just say we would have taken all trades before that stop there. Over here as well, I would say that this one could have been subjectively difficult to take. However, seeing that impulse, it does look like there was a continuation in there. So let's just say that you were able to take the first flag situation. You put your risk above just for extra protection. 33, taking it at the same place, about 8.5 there. So you're already looking at 16 and then 18.5. And then once this would have happened, you would have seen this. Looked for an opportunity within here once we retraced. I think this is something that I wouldn't be able to really demonstrate or explain on this video, but there could be an AFT phase 3 in there, and yeah, to this one you'd be managing semi-aggressive as well. Once we break that, you'd see it then pull back, you'd have stop above. So yeah, you could have probably still been in this trade for a while and then let that run. So like I said, abundance of opportunity. Even over here, if you did, you probably wouldn't want to let that run back to 2% after running about 8, 9 to 18. From 18 to 7. I don't think you would want that to happen, but even so, you can see from the abundance, and you would have missed this trade, you would have missed these trades up here, but you would have understood that there will be more trades coming. So I just want you to bear that in mind when you are looking at US related pairs over the next few weeks, because I think this is extremely important to just understand on a higher time frame perspective, and then easily by drilling on the lower time frame you can take advantage of this sort of price. This is obviously the DXY, but then we can go to the counter related pair and see how they play. So just wanted to cover that. Going to the JP225, we can actually see now that we are in a very interesting area. Okay, the one thing I do like about this is that we are tapping into this high here. The real question I have now is this the bull flag to go higher, or is this just going to end up coming back into this corrective level here whilst the yen related pairs start getting a little bit messy in terms of they go into their short cycle for a pullback to then go long? That is something I'll be looking at very closely, but I do think the long position is more of interest for myself, and understanding how the yen behavior is, it'd be very interesting. So let's have a little look. We have the weekly. It's definitely been squeezing, but we've had all this momentum kick off. So you can see how we tapped into this point of interest, and then we had this immediate burst. Last time we came there, we wicked aggressively. We closed just above it. We can see that we wicked through it, and then we filled the wick. If you look at it on the daily, this was still very nice. I mean, even if you took this candle alone, let's just say you took it on the open over there, yeah, you could have easily got away with that on the daily alone. You know, I think that's something which is to be very mindful of, that you can probably take this trade on the daily. Would you have walked away with 3% odd? Maybe not. You probably would have maybe walked away with about 3-ish, say 3% at its best, 2 if you undermanaged it, but so forth. Understanding that value area would be very important. And then obviously if you invert that, you can see that we had like the hanging man, the indecision, and then the drop off, which kind of just gave it that sort of evening star sort of vibration over there. Super engulfing price action, and then just momentum to follow. So we can see that this is pretty much a range. This is very much range bound. How we got to this low though wasn't very corrective. It was super impulsive, and that's why I truly believe that if we are going to look for a trade on the JP225, you would be looking for maybe even to break above, giving it that overall expanding, to then see it push back down, give you a flat, probably not that large, push back down, give you a flag around about here, and then continue. And that is probably the trade that I would probably then look at and see that as one big corrective squeeze into that low to then go high again, and then completing the expanding, maybe even, you know, tapping into the trend line over here. So if we tap into this trend line again, give it another touch for it then to finally get its push away, that's definitely still a possibility, especially with that expanding as a possible. I wouldn't be bothered about that too much as well. I would understand that there's more than enough for this to go higher, and that's pretty much the most important thing at this point in time. So that's pretty much what I'll be looking at. Aussie CAD. Let's have a little look at Aussie CAD. So weekly for Aussie CAD. Oops, let me have a little look. Sorry, I'm just clicking over. Right. Yeah, okay, fine, that's good. So we're looking at here on the weekly, we're seeing that this is a massive range that we're looking at. Essentially we're just trading within this. I'm then looking at the daily to understand if there's opportunity. This is one that I was on FX Live yesterday talking about. I just didn't really get a chance to break it down enough. I think I just kind of rushed through it. So I'll take a minute now and just kind of go through that. We have this potential expanding over here where we have a 1, 2, potential 3, 1, 2, and then maybe even a pullback down. I'm not interested in the short, I am interested in the long, but understanding that the short potential could be coming into play. If you did want to take the short, you could look at it to come here, take this, and then understand that you'd want to aggressively manage that into potentially this low, or understand that we could come into here and then push away. So if you were going to take a trade and it did shape up, that would pretty much be your Aussie CAD trade, but I'll be more interested in the long. So this would be more so a sort of set wild card for me, where I would basically just be keeping it on the sideline, and then if we do shape up and come to, let's say, inflection point number 1, it'll hit my alert and then just let me know. And then same with the next point over here, I'll just set an alert and then it will let me know that we're now trading in that area. And then all I know is that as soon as we cross back through it, because I'm hoping that we'll break through, and then once we push back through with momentum and close, I can then evaluate that on the 4 and the 1, and then look for the flag. Depending on the size of the impulse, we'll then see what type of flag we're looking for. But definitely continuation to the upside. So I do like that. Next one is Aussie Swiss. Now, Aussie Swiss had a lot of potential in my opinion, and it still does if it continues to sell. If we start coming back up to these areas, we've technically retraced 50% of the move at that point, more than 50%. And I think for that reason, I probably just would write this off straight away at the moment in time. So I'm not going to look for that trade, for the sole being that I don't really have enough to really say to myself that, you know, this is the trade I want to be in. This is the trade that I want to position myself for, because I understand that we could be coming back up to this area, but I also understand that there is this element of a middle section here, but the truth behind it is, yeah, there's a 1, 2, 3, and it's a 4-hour flag right at the beginning, where, okay, we had one, we had a flag, and then now we're just retracing back up. If I look at it on hindsight on the daily, it doesn't look like my sort of typical price action that I really want to position myself in. I think really and truly, I would keep it even more simple at this point, and I would understand that, okay, fine, we could even be seeing something like this, right? Where if I take impulse from here to here, and then I just grab that and put it here, and see this as a more parallel situation, then I would essentially be looking at what we just spoke about, but for that short position. So understand that we could be playing this into that low, and I think that's definitely a possibility. It's just, like I said, this could get really complicated as well. That would be the gameplay that I would look for though for the short, if I was going to take the short, but I wrote it off for a very solid reason, and I would be more interested in these 2 points here to just see how price reacts, understanding that if we did push higher, we have the additional confluence of it meeting with this and the 1, 2, 3, and then we can go from there, maybe trade into this area here to then go there and then complete that, and then potentially sell coming off that. And I think that would be a very nice play in my opinion. Definitely one to consider, but like I said, if I go back to the daily, and I'll tell you why I'm not too convinced of this, is, you know, then you kind of just keep evolving a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you have to ask yourself, like, what if we start to come up here, then we understand that this was a part of this 1, 2, 3, and then does it extend a little bit more, or do we start selling and then we have this sort of range we're playing? So there's a few variations of what we can do, and I think more than likely it wouldn't be a bad shout to have this on a soft watch, but I would personally be wanting to see this sort of move where we kind of trade back into that area there and then look for that short. And I think that's the trade that I would look for personally, opposed to this one here into there, because you do have that high there, and I think the thing that I'm more concerned about is if I'm just trying to take an average trade over here, but understanding that this could be the play, which is completely fine for it then to do that, you know, it's a very counter trade. And I think in terms of a risk reward, what are we actually working with, which I think is probably an even more important question at this point. Let's call it about 25 pips. Yeah, you could be taking a 5 to a 7-ish pip trade, but then once again, is that where I want to be risking my capital? Not really. Like I said, I'll wait to see if we do get some clear structure, and then I can take that trade as a range, and I think that would be a better range for me to play, for them to go short. So I'm going to wait for that trade personally, and the best thing for me to do at this point is probably just set on an alert in this area. I'll put it on that candle there. We'll just through it so we can get alerted before we even get there, and I would leave that, come back to it, and then put that down there, and then understand. Remember, this can also get very much more complicated if it starts dropping off and then coming back up, you know, and it starts getting very messy. Like, we understand that that is a potential within Swiss pairs, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, seeing how prices reacted, we do get these sort of ending pushes up, so I would like to see something like that push back in, and then we continue and start going to the downside. That would be something that I would entertain as well. So like I said, more interested in breaking or reaching this high and then seeing how price reacts. Going on to Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen, I definitely would say, is one of my most favorited pairs at the moment. I think just having a look at it, like, it really speaks to me in the sense that, okay, we have, let's say we have this high and we have this sort of wick fill over here, which certainly very probable, and then we have the next high point right above it. This is looking at it on the weekly, so obviously if we look at it with a ruler perspective, from this to that high is around about 500 pips, 700, 800, 1000. So no point having that on yet, and no point having this on yet. Just look at what's most relevant, and I'll put this point on here as well. So we saw with the JP225 that there is potential for this to go long quite aggressively, keeping that in consideration when we are looking at these yen pairs. I'm then looking at the daily on this, where I'm then seeing that, okay, so we have this value area just above. How have we approached this one? Well, let's have a little closer look. So there is this really nice scoop here, which I like, which gives me that M-star sort of feel, but I don't quite see an M-star in here. I don't also see this being the best of angles. So really and truly, I would say it's quite a subjective one, but I want to keep this more parallel. So I'm going to copy that and clone it and put this over there. And I'll more so be interested to look at it in this sort of way. And I would say that's a much better angle for me personally. And now I would understand if that was to scoop up and then come into this area and then potentially sell. Remember that we do have that point just above it, but it's a little bit more irrelevant. But I would say that this area we can sell off a little bit before we go higher. And personally, I think if you did want to get into a small trade in here, which could probably taking it into that low to then see how it reacts, then take a position in here to go long, I wouldn't blame you, right? I would say that's definitely a good trade. I wouldn't take the short personally, but there's certainly potential for the short. And I think understanding the potential is even more important at this point. So just going back to the weekly, we can see how the weekly closed as well. Like, it is bullish. We just tapped into it, we rejected. I think opposed to having a wick through and then kind of retracing back in, I would understand that a little bit more, but this is still overall bullish. We're still moving to the upwards direction. The daily did kind of actually have a near miss on it. So yeah, if I look at that a little bit closer, there was a little bit of a near miss, which in many senses it is more than enough for this to still sell. We don't have to feel that little bit of a near miss, but I would still understand that there is that near miss factor in there. How did we get there? Well, it was a bit of an impulsive RO3 for sure. But then if I get a little bit closer, yeah, it was. I mean, I do understand that there is some elements of a good trade in here. We do have that sort of incomplete sort of head and shoulders here, push down. Could you take this trade? Yeah, I think for sure. Just understand that this may not go for as long as you'd want. I just have a subjective first. I don't like this angle at all, though. Personally, I wouldn't look for this trade. Actually, I would probably say, for me, this feels more like a trap. I would say I'm gonna wait for something a little bit more. I would wait for either this to drop off now, tap into that low, then come back up, tap in here, and then we'll look for the sell. And then I would have something more so at this angle here, where I'd be then interested in seeing is that going to become a short, and then I'll look at that for a potential short. But understanding this, there isn't really a completion there. This actually does look like it could be doing this right now, and yeah, you get corrective in here, and then next thing you know, we're up here, just kind of just trickling, and it just keeps going, you know. And then you get there, and because it's corrective, you're not going to take an entry, and then next thing you know, it does kind of correctively drop, and then boom, just goes, and the next thing you know, we're literally almost at the next value area. So I'm not going to entertain AJ. I think a lot of people would be interested in this. I will keep it on my watch, but really and truly, like, I'm interested in the next sort of key value area more so, or significantly, this is what I would be interested in, is just marking this on here. If I can, yeah, mark it on there. And what I would like to see is for this to kind of come back up again. I don't think now is the time where it's going to come up, but let's just see. And then it just starts to just continue going up a little bit on the daily. So we see a few daily candles, goes up, and then boom, just drops. And then we're trading somewhere down here, and then we pushed up, we pushed back down, and then I understand if we then get a sort of structured 1 2 3 to continue, which then kind of gives me that fulfillment that that could be a head and shoulders, or even more so, we could be looking at that area there, and then it plays like that, and then we understand that, okay, that plays, and then it gets here, and then maybe at this point here we start to fool the market and start going back up. Who knows? But more so, I would be interested in a trade like that, where we've actually broken the high, we've come back in, we've looked for a 1 2 3, and then we've gone. I think for that reason, I think that's more for December trade for me. But I'll keep that on my maybe, and then I'll evaluate it again later. But personally, I'm not too sure about that. Aussie New Zealand. Now, I do really like Aussie New Zealand. I'm not gonna lie. Tell you why. Okay, let me quickly pause this and I'll restart. Yeah, brilliant. So basically, very straightforward. Aussie New Zealand. So essentially, with Aussie New Zealand, we are if we look at it on the weekly, we can see that we kind of do have very strong momentum there. To the upside, and then we were kind of retraced. The candles were looking very nice, but then I think with this one big bullish candle here, we need to kind of look at it a little bit closer and why that happened. And we can actually see here that it is very deliberate in a sense as well. Like, we didn't have the very casual sort of aggressive push away which we've seen previously before, but we did have some structure developed below it. So I think this is a very interesting area to just be evaluating a little bit closer. But because of the nature of the pattern, I would say we're certainly looking for a push and a flag. What's very nice about this is we did push out and we have pushed back in finally. Now it's a case of, because we're trading below that low and below this, I would then be looking to see that if we do get another large candle and then we even create something like this, I wouldn't really hesitate on that trade. I would say that you've definitely got a good trade there. So this is one of the main reasons why I do have this on here. However, I do also understand that price can get a bit more aggressive and impulsive, and then we could see something like this where we kind of trade into that, and then, you know, we look to sell over there as well. So there's many possibilities here, but there's no way to say that we are definitely in a bear market, because this essentially is looking like it could be a middle section for this to then go up again, and then for us to tag into that high. And that's something that I am bearing in mind as well, that we also have that to look out for. So Keeping it very simple and just trading what we see right now, just keeping it very, very straightforward, and we can see that we have continuation to the downside. We did get a larger flag, big correction into another correction, which lowers the probability, which increases the risk factor, which makes us then look at the insurance entry. I would be more interested to see how the next 4 closes, which is pretty good because that'll be ready up for London session. And then if we do get, you know, another large candle like so, and then we kind of close somewhere down about here, and we then started creating something here, that would also be quite good, and that might even line up for Tuesday. But I am anticipating something ready for Monday, so we'll have to wait and see that if we do get something shaped up in this sort of area here, still would be good to go. Aussie New Zealand definitely is going to be one that I'll have on my watch list. Wildcards. Aussie US dollar. Aussie US dollar definitely as well. There's a lot of good looking pairs this week. We have this very obvious area down here where we haven't filled this. We've been accumulating a lot of volume in this area as well, where I think if I'm now looking at it as a larger range, so if I just zoom out, we can see that correctively we've been moving down, big correction, down, another correction, and then are we making one more down for this to then become that overall sort of completion of this. It is what I'm looking for. I do want to see how we kind of approach that, because I do have a good feeling that we could get there pretty quick. Could be some sort of impulsive price action. However, looking at the US related pairs, we're not seeing any sort of major turnaround at this point right now. So this makes sense for the short. The reason being is, and we will have to always understand that that is a strong possibility because of how we began the run on the DXY as well. I will be looking at this to see if there is a shorting position. However, right now my bias is going long, so let's wait and see. If we get something like this, if we get something like this where we push up, we come back down, and then we come back in for one more, and then we're ready to go, fine. And then we'll just look at that as target points, and then within that we can look for entries. So that is basically what I would be looking for. I just think that it's one of those ones that comes with a bit more risk, but you can make sense of it. You know, if you take this, you put that in there, you can see that we had a 1, 2, 3. The DXY would then have to turn around, so then we would have to see something like the DXY, you know, coincidentally seeing something like this, and then all of this, and then understanding that this is potentially one big corrective squeeze into somewhere. I think more than likely, actually, what I am thinking is a potential good area for this to turn around is somewhere down here. We get this, it just starts dropping off, gets a bit corrective, the US dollar related pairs start going sideways, accumulating some volume, creating the ending structures, and then we get into this area here, and then boom, we shoot off, and then we're just off for the races back up here. And that could be a very interesting gameplay. But looking at the larger picture here, there is some very good shorting potential here. It's just that was off-putting at the beginning, I'll be honest with you. Looking at something like that did put me off ever so slightly, but understanding that, okay, that made sense for the continuation to the downside. Didn't want to position myself there because it was a key pivotal area where we could have just, you know, took a short and then it went long. So I would rather wait for something, but just understand that again. So Aussie US dollar, I think definitely has some potential. If I go back to the one, you know, will it shape up this week? Possibly. So we'll have a little wait and see. Sweet. So yeah, going on to the next one, CAD Swiss. Look, CAD Swiss definitely is in an extremely good value area, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to wait for some more commitment though. I know this is pretty much a key value area, but I think this is where a lot of people can get caught out as well, especially if we are looking at this moving to the downside. The real question is, pullback wise, is it going to be that good type of price action? Are we going to see something like this? I couldn't really say, man. I think really and truly we could be getting into something like just truly very messy, which really and truly I don't know if we had something like that, that would be sick. I'm not gonna lie. A 1, 2, 3 back up into this, that would be nice, and then I would understand that. And then if we tapped into that little sort of liquidity just above it, cool, fine, whatever. But then I can look for the short. But I think at this point in time, you know, coming into this sort of key area here with that, there is that element of this as well, which I think gives it that added bonus. That is this going to now turn around? Maybe. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. There has to be a clear message from the market at that point. I think the more important thing that I'm interested right now is just how we actually move from this low. You know, if we do come back up and, you know, we get something like this and we get clear momentum, cool, fine. That would be a 10 out of 10 trade for sure. But the odds are, I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think we could see something very similar to this, which is not really a massive issue. But, you know, like I said, there'll be an abundance of opportunity. It's not the best pair in the world to be trading. Would I put that over some of these other ones? Well, I already have about 13 odd. I mean, I could keep it in the list. I think I would come back to it if it did have a strong impulse. Like, really and truly, I'll stick a ray line on over here. And yeah, if price is trading above this, then I might consider it, putting it on watch. But I'll be honest with you, there's no reason for me to even touch that as we keep going lower. So I'm more than happy to leave that one out. But if, yeah, like I said, if we do push above and then we start trading in this area here to the upside, cool, I'll look for the continuation. CAD yen, I don't think CAD yen's ready just yet. You know, like I said, there's a few yen pairs are actually selling off right now, or it's giving off that impression that we're selling off. But I'm really seeing this as, you know, going back to the JP225 quickly, we could be seeing continuation to the upside. So the real question is, if the JP225 does hit that ray line, push a little bit above and then rejects, we could be seeing something similar happening here, where we have this just suddenly coming back up, pushes just slightly above, and then as the JP225 rejects, we can then get in on counter-related pairs and maybe go short. So that's something to bear in mind. But then we can see that there is a few sort of points on this sort of run up. I'm more interested to just say, let's just look at that and understand that this, if completed, becomes this, and then we could see that as a massive area of a range, which I'll be more interested in the range than the angle. And then, yeah, just basically look at, can we get into trades to trade into this? And then we get into this area here, and that's when we could potentially be looking to go long again. So I'm interested in something like that. CAD yen though, for sure, I think, honestly, I kind of like it. And I kind of think it's worth having something like this on watch, playing the anticipated structure. But like I said, it could easily just do this, and then we start, you know, just correctively squeezing to the high, and then by December, you know, we're ready to go, and then next thing you know, things change. I'll keep that on though. I think out of the yen pairs, I do like this as much as I like Aussie yen. I think this has a little bit more potential in my opinion, but we'll have a little look. Swiss yen. So this is one that I was looking at yesterday as well. I'll be honest with you. Okay, Swiss yen. We're trading in like no man's land. We're just pushing for highs and highs and highs. I mean, look, if you take price back and you look at it over here, I would have said the same thing. You know, because we're just aiming for highs, we just look, if we get something like that, cool, position myself long and just manage it accordingly. If we look at it now, was there any very clean entries? Not on the daily, but we did have this aspect of this sort of corrective squeeze lower. Would we have taken that trade? Probably not. We would have looked at this wick. It's a very subjectively difficult one to actually catch, but I think if you do catch it for the long and you're in for the trade, it's not overall bad pair to trade. I think what I'm looking at right now is, if these yen pairs do start to sell off early for any particular reason, This is more higher risk for me regardless because of how the JP225 is performing until we start seeing them all gearing up together and selling together. I think that increases the probability and makes a lot of the trades lower risk. I'm more interested to see what happens now. Are we going to be creating something like this? And now we're just kind of going to push down, push back up. You know, is it going to get a little bit more parallel? There's just a few variations that I haven't really had a chance to really see, but like I said, there's no point over forecasting this right now. We do have a strong push down on the 4. The daily, we did kind of get a bit of a wick in here, which you can't see clearly, but there you can see a bit of a wick there, which kind of might give me an indication that we tapped into this liquidity, this point of interest, and then we kind of just bought off it. So we could just be going long again, and this is just a very premature area to be looking for it. Would make sense looking at how price action is reforming right now. Give it some time to develop, but like I said, there's 2 entries here. We either get a larger 1, 2, 3, take the first flag into the high, understand that there's the possibility of this 1, 2, 3, and then we could sell again. But then again, from here to that point there, you're probably easily looking at 7.5 and even about 4-ish% to that high, so manageable. And then if we do sell from here, then we understand that this could become something much larger, becomes a larger corrective section as well. Possibilities. And then we get something like that, which for me kind of feels like a Swiss yen type of trade, but I will wait for that one and just let that do its thing. I don't think I'm going to have Swiss yen on watch for sure. Not really interested in a short, not so interested in a long, weirdly enough. If we got to a high value area, which kind of seems a bit unlikely, like I said, Swiss yen doesn't want to give good entries, man. It's not one of those ones that I can really say is phenomenal. I mean, you could take the breakout of a lot of trades, stop loss placement, a little bit larger than most, and you'd have to have a lot more patience. Like, I mean, when I say a lot of patience, I mean, you know, taking a trade from here, you sit through drawdown for about a day, not a problem, and then you're slowly in profit. But overall, yeah, you'd wait half a month. 8% half a month, not a bad wait, to be honest. But like I said, requires a bit of patience. And 10 days can feel like quite a while sometimes, especially when you are seeing a lot of other pairs shaping up. And you know, I would sacrifice being on this trade for taking a bunch of other trades, and I think in that sense it might not be something I'm interested in. So I'll leave Swiss yen out for me. Euro Aussie, I'll be honest with you, I looked at this one as well briefly. I just don't think there's anything here at the moment for me, man. Really, if I tag that on over here, then this sort of just jumps out to me instantly, and then I'm just thinking like, well, what if we have something like that, this, that? It's just, there's too many variations of what my eyes are seeing right now, you know. It's like, where is the pattern? That's probably not it, but like I said, take away the pattern separation there and just look at it for this structure. If we were going to sell, we would have sold by now, and I think now we're just turning into this larger correction. So not being a bit funny or anything, but we're just in corrective price action at the moment. We had more than enough. We could have sold from here and continued the follow through. We didn't. We actually came back up, and now we're kind of just trading between this, more so this, and it just, yeah, do you know what, it just feels like at any point this could just, you know, do that, and then we get something like this, trades and just wicks up into here, sells, or continues to the upside. There's just so many variations of being so messy and so many different inflection points along the way. EA isn't the one for me right now. I'm going to wait for something a lot clear. If we do get something like this anyhow, you know, and then we trade into this low, then I could understand that they could be a long play in there to then go higher, to then take something like this, oops, like that, and I wouldn't then be upset with that trade. I would then be like, okay, cool, I understand that this over here could be a flag to then take to here, to then take to that point, which leads up with this, leads up with this, and then, you know, then you have that 1, 2, 3 element there, which coincidentally is on its way to fill this wick. So I would then say, that can then be your next price target and so forth. But by the time we get there, you're probably looking at something like towards middle of June next year. So yeah, Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro CAD actually, on the other hand, now Euro CAD, for one, I think sticks out like a sore thumb. This one is clearly gravitating to this high. I wouldn't even entertain anything else at this point. I would just be looking at this high, set an alert, leave it alone, come back to it when it's ready, and as simple as that. There was more than enough, and I could take this as an expanding, but like I said, you don't need to waste your time with this as much, because we're looking at that trend line, so we don't really need that expanding to show us anything. The first touch is very subjective as well. I'm interested in just seeing this as a structure in itself, just one big area, and then I want to see an expanding wouldn't be uncommon as well, especially on EuroCAD. Looking at something like this, I would then say, okay, fine. If we tap into here at whatever point, and then we get its insurance entry, and you position yourself there, we could actually be, trading into this area down here to then go long again, which then actually turns out to be quite a beautiful trade when you look at it on the weekly. So I'm interested in that personally, and I think I would just go back to quickly on the 4, just remove these lines that I drew. Yeah, we could easily get there by midweek, before midweek as well. I would give it till the end of the week for sure, but look how many pips away that is. That's what, 200 pips. We could easily do that in 4 days. So I'm gonna add that one on as well. That would be more for wildcard for me, because remember, the way we're approaching it as well is quite aggressive. Wouldn't be surprised, because we are looking for it to break out a little bit to then push in, to then give us that expanding element to it, which then goes in line with this, and then we're going to have to wait for it to push back down and then give us that insurance entry. So overall, if I just quickly size that up and then we look at it like this, it could, I mean, easily I could be a bit premature on this, but I think it's good to just be waiting. It could be ready by the week after, but I would still, it does make me think maybe I could be slightly premature by having it on watch. The other thing is, though, I'm looking for the break there, so I'm looking at one of the possibilities. If we just tap into this and we still push off and sell, that's also a possibility, which even can come sooner. I think there's a lot of things that can happen, and I think it's good to just have it on watch, because sometimes price can be quick. So on the sometimes factor, I think it's worth it. Okay, so we have a near miss to this low, very clear and apparent. Looking at it on the daily, corrective price action, there is a bit of a trend here. Let me just go back to the daily. There is a little bit of a trend I'm seeing here, where we have that sort of squeeze, and then now we're getting this. Or is it more so like that? Interesting. And then we evolve with it. So then if I can line this up a little bit better, that doesn't look terrible. Euro Swiss does kind of give me some sort of I think I would insurance entry that anyway. If there was a trade, I would tap that on here. I would then wait, let this do its thing. Let this, if it does come up here, then let it push back down, give you a flag, and then start looking to get involved on that. And I think that's the much better play there. Don't start entertaining trades because you have this. I think this could easily be a trap. Something like this doesn't look like your typical angle anyway. I think you come up into this, yeah, there's that element. If you do that, okay, fine, I wouldn't blame you for taking that trade at all, any of those two. But more so, I think if you start trying to risk entry here, we could just easily get corrective and then just correctively squeeze and then eventually get it and then go. So I wouldn't risk entry that. I'll wait for an insurance entry for sure. Euro GBP. Let's have a little look at Euro GBP. Do you know what? Euro GBP had so much potential, man, and it still does. It's just extension after extension after extension after extension. And it's like getting to the point now where I'm getting a little bit exhausted waiting for you. Alright, cool. We're looking at this. We had the override, we pushed, we didn't get it. And now there is that element of that internal structure that I don't know if you guys can see it. It's possible. I think personally I'm going to give EuroCAD more time. I think I'm trying to get involved on this when, you know, it's just clearly not, it's not ready. It's just not ready, man. It needs more. This is nice. We've got this middle section. You know, we've got an element of a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3 larger structure, a pattern within a pattern, ascending within ascending, makes it even more higher probability, but it's not yet complete. I think when we get to these areas and then we start pushing away and we get something clear as day like that, which could shape up this week, really truly it could, and I think that's the much better play for me. So I'm gonna leave it on like that, and that's how I'm going to be looking to take it. I think I can take this off because this is more of the larger structure we're looking at, but I think how we ended with this massive corrective squeeze, I love it. I love it absolutely. If I just invert that for a second and we look at it as well, yeah, we descended into this as well. Yeah, this stunning. EJ. Okay, so yesterday I was in FX Live, and I think Tom Thorpe was the one who broke this down. I think, you know, I fully agree with every single thing that was mentioned, and essentially what he was saying is extension after extension after extensions, you know, we start to see this stuff. Wouldn't be surprised, even if we completed on this, we still start to extend further. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's just important to just see us tap into that high value area first before we start looking at anything else. Don't start taking something a little bit sooner just because we've completed on the 1, 2, 3. Even if the chart does something like this where we kind of just push and then we just kind of near miss, I think it's still a little bit of a trap. I would probably wouldn't take a trade that large anyway. I would wait. If we did start committing and we're all the way down here, you know, I would still entertain a trade, but understand that I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, you took a trade here and then all of a sudden it did this, you know, and then next thing you know it's done something like that where you had a sort of pattern there and then you had an internal pattern, and then, you know, overall we had some sort of structure there, and then we started selling off. That would be something I'm more favorable for, really, compared to this, because this is just impulsive. You know, I wouldn't even be surprised if it just smashed through this. Just very impulsive price action, just goes through it and just keeps going up, and then eventually when you tap into this area here, which for us right now seems very far away, but for these yen pairs, you know, they make their rallies, and then next thing you know, it just starts dropping, and then we're back down here within a case of maybe like 2 months. 2 months might be a bit ambitious. 6 months, but yeah. Euro New Zealand. Okay, so I love Euro New Zealand. Honestly, this is a nice one. So Euro New Zealand, I think it's actually one I was looking at yesterday as well. What I do like about this is there's the potential for this to just keep going higher. We have this element of a 1, 2, 3. We would look at this sort of price point area here, look at that wick to potentially be filled, go to it on the daily, and let's just look at the structure we have. So we're ascending over 1, 2, 3. There is the override where we could tap into this, then we have to evaluate how we move from there. What I am anticipating is that we might have something like a running channel, where then we tap into this override, we complete on the potential 1, 2, 3, but then we correctively move away, and then we just continue. and then evolving this a little bit more, we then get into something like that, where this then becomes just another move to go higher, and then it gives us that extension, and then we just keep going. So I would be interested in a long position, really and truly. I think a long would be great, but I'm not going to put this on watch because I do have much better pairs, and I think at this point here, I have 15, and then I haven't even gone through the indices and commodities yet. So this will be sick. Like if this played, I would just be very happy in general. I'll be like, okay, I understood why that happened, and yeah, good for you. You know, it's very nice. But overall, I like that. Not the best type of trade though, for sure. Definitely on the lower side of my entries, but I do. Let me just quickly do that again. Yeah, I do like the fact that if we do get that middle section, we push it out, clearly break above it, create intentional 1 hour continuation, and we go. It's good. Euro USD. Let's have a little look. Yeah, Euro USD. So Euro USD, we are basically same as DXY. I'm just going to invert this quickly. So same as the DXY, we had that sort of very corrective sort of start to it, but we can now understand this. Like we had this sort of corrective start, we then sort of had these patterns within it. You know, it's just one of those ones where I think, is this just going to turn around? Is this just a part of this big corrective move? That is a bit of a trap. We're coming out down here, convincing people to be on the wrong side. This expanding is now filled. We then tap into this low. So this is something that I think just kind of just jumps out to me and says, listen, if this is the trap, we're just going to gravitate to it, just build up a little bit more liquidity. We're going to tap into this, and then boom, we're just going to skyrocket and make our way back up, give us a very, very nice sort of run to the upside, and then we can tap in here, we go above, whatever, and then come back down. Who knows? I'm just interested to see how that plays. Looks very good though. So Euro USD definitely one to watch, but more than interesting, we could be going long. So don't just look at the potential for this to short. Look at this as the potential long as well. That there's more than enough now with the momentum kicking in. We could see this potentially just going like that and just makes its way back up here, breaks new highs. So that basically covers Euro USD. And now going into the GBP related pairs. Brilliant. Okay, so going through the GBP pairs, looking at the daily on GBP Aussie, we can then see that, you know, we did have this. Well, actually, let's go to the weekly. We can see that we had this sort of liquidity area here, tapped into it. We had another point of interest here, which we kind of extended through with a 1, 2, 3, and then we rejected from there. Yes, there is an aspect of this high value area just above, but we're not so much interested in that just yet. I think what we are ultimately interested in right now is going to the 4, and there was the element of us, will we tap into that just yet? We haven't quite got that. I think looking at this now, we are continuing to sell now. I think there's more than enough here. So if we just remove this, we understand that there was a lot of liquidity sitting in this area here. So if we just box that off, we're looking at this area. Can this still sell off? Yeah, absolutely. This can basically just go here, and the next thing you know, we're trading down there. And when you're down here, you're not really going to be concerned about this, you know. So understand that is also a possibility, but more than likely, what I am looking at is just seeing something like this, and then seeing that, you know, are we then getting something like that, where we then make our way back up into here to then sell? I would for sure be interested in something like this. So that is what I'm kind of looking at for GA, to then take that as one big large range to then short, and I think that makes more sense. I'm not too convinced with this angle as well. It's definitely a possibility, but I think I do prefer this forecast here. So I'm going to wait, see how that develops. Remember, we are looking for that definitive sort of middle section as well. We could see something a little bit more angled like that, where we do kind of come back up a little bit more, and then we drop off. It is what it is, and then we come up, we get that flag. Would you take the long? Maybe. I think in the time, a lot of us will probably take the long, and then we'll look for that short. So that is what I'm anticipating, but I think it's too soon for that at all. We are going to be looking at some point in December for that, maybe even coming towards the end of November, so a week from now. Yeah, so the last week of this month we could be having GA on watch, so I'm just going to mark that as blue. I'm going to also tap this in as a alert, because I would like to know when price does get to this area. I would make it a little bit sooner, around about here at the override sort of zone, and then I'll put this sort of ray line there. Yeah, basically just keep it like that, and I'll just be interested to just see. I'm not interested in the override, but I'd like to know when we are passing that, so I have more than enough time to prepare, and it should be good to go. GBP CAD on the daily as well. I think a lot of people were trying to take trades in this squeeze. For me, I was completely put off by it. The only time I was looking for trades is when we were approaching this area here. As we approached here, this is where I was looking at, is there going to be a potential trade in there? But at this point in time, looking at how price did develop, it's more than likely we are coming back into that point of sale over here, which I would be interested in that. So just evolving this a little bit more now and just taking this into consideration. It's possible. This is a possible structure, but we could be seeing some sort of larger flag here, and then we start coming up. So really and truly, I would be looking for something like, you know, something like that, and then we kind of come up, and then we don't kind of push away aggressively, and then we come back up again, and then we sell, and then maybe we have an internal 1 2 3, but a bit better than what I've drawn here, and I'll be looking at something like that, where I think that would be nicer. Overall, not my type of pair to be taking a trade on right now. I'm going to leave it. I'd be interested in a buy if we did come back down to there, and then for a short, I'd just be looking at that. So I think all I'm interested really is, are we going to get here? And when we do get there, I need to be looking at it. So I'll just create my alert, leave it, and I can come to it whenever it's ready. So let it do its thing, focus on some other pairs. GBP Swiss, I'll be honest with you, with GBP Swiss, we were seeing this across the board with some Swiss pairs as well. There is potential, but I'm just looking at this now in hindsight, and it is a corrective pair. It's known to be corrective. Yeah, that is nice. You know, we have that element of this sort of, oops, why does my hand keep changing? Okay, pretty much that. Sorry, terrible drawings. I don't know if you guys struggle with your line drawings, but I definitely do. And then yeah, so there's that element to the trade. A little bit of a corrective squeeze in here. I say that was your first flag, just with a wick. If I just zoom out, let's have a little look. Zoom in. Go to the 1. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that at all. You know, if that was alone, yeah, still it's massive. I don't like it. Do you know what? I'm not even going to analyze this one, because I'm more than happy to just take a step back on GBP Swiss. Trade if you want to take it, risk below here, no problem. You know, I just personally, I don't like it. I think there is various elements of risk to this. Situational, man, it's up to you. If you want to take a trade like that, you could take it. You look at it on the daily, it doesn't look so bad actually. You know, you have those two kind of tweezer bottoms. You could just take it like this if you really wanted to. Put that on over here. Put your, yeah, around about 40-ish pips. And you'll take that. I mean, like I said, I'm not really into this pair as much, but it does sometimes have that impulsive leg to it, especially on the buy. It deserves a reanalysis at a different time. Truly does. I'm just going to mark that on as blue. I'll come back and look at it again. Let's have a little look. So another yen pair. I am interested in that high point there for sure. How are we getting there? Like, just sort of moving in this sort of corrective sequence. I see, I'm not into this angle at all for the trade. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm not interested in this, man. I'm happy to just let this trade do its thing. This is another reason why I'm just not convinced with these yen pairs selling off yet. Just that daily, like we're seeing it across the board with all of them, like just didn't get the commitment, just pushed all the way back up. Are we going to see this now go to the upside? Yeah, maybe. You know, we could just see this. Next thing you know, we just back up again, and then we start correcting, and then doing this, and then people are just trying to force stuff in the market in the middle of nowhere, and it just keep taking you out. I think if you could get a clear long, take it. But once we've tapped into something like either this low or this low, and let's just say we came into it for 1, 2, 3, pushed away, created a flag, why not take it into that? Understand that this could be a larger range, could come back in for a 1, 2, 3, more than likely just continue going. And that's how I would look at that personally. But GJ, I'm not interested in GJ. Yeah, GN as well. Near miss, multiple near misses. We are clearly on the ascend. This is definitely a clear range we're trading between. Yeah, I think I would wait for one more drop to then go long, see that, take that, understand that's the long. That's basically how I would take GN. Is that going to shape up this week? Maybe. Fucking hell, maybe. Wow. Yeah, give that a thought, you know. Definitely would give that more of a second thought. Because even that low there, but I'm not interested in that. I think, yeah, more than likely. Yeah, I do like that. Fucking hell, that was a good analysis. Observation. So it's possible, you know, that becomes your middle section. Not very nice. Ends up correctively coming in, and then pushes away, gives you first flag, pushes out second flag, then we're off. And then you zoom back out and you have a look at that. It would make sense. Yeah. Yeah, not. Got me thinking. No, I don't like it. I really don't. I think it makes sense, but like, what sort of structure is forming then? Something like that to give us a descending before we go to the next push through. Because then if we had something like this and I took that as a work structure, yeah, we could see something even from the break of this high. Yeah, cool. I like it. I'm interested to see that as one big range. More likely this as the bigger range. Yeah, cool. I'll keep that simple. Take that off. Keep that off. Just let the trade do its thing between now. I think more than likely, if we do come up with a 1, 2, 3, that could even be very nice. So we come back up, near miss that, come down a little bit, then we come up again. Obviously, that is much larger than it would probably be, but just out of demonstration, showing you what it could become. You go back to the daily and you look at that. That's nice. Yeah, if you had that, it's a no-brainer. You know, you wouldn't want to hesitate on that at all. Debatable. You could actually say that this is your first touch. You know, you can have something like that. Anyway, I would leave that on and leave GN off for me. Have a little look at. Oh, okay. So yeah. So if we go back to the weekly, see how the weekly closed. Okay, so I like this. We have had a pullback, but where are we going? That's the real question. Momentum. We've come in with a 1, 2, 3 to the monthly. We did tap into that. Created all-time low, pushed back up. Weekly we pushed up, create continuation. That's our reference point. Are we now trading back into it? So I'm looking at that as our price target, and I'm actually looking for shorts. I don't think I'm looking for a long here, but nah, that's not my gameplay. Go back to the tricky, you know. It's easy to force something in the moment to make it seem as it could be, but it's not. I don't know. I'm not interested right now. I'm gonna wait for some structure. I think GU, only because of how the DXY is performing, I'm just not sure. You know, we do have that element of that 1, 2, 3 sort of. The middle section's a bit shite, to be honest with you. Go to the 4, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this just gets messy. Does that, comes in. Yeah, probably looking for that. 2-touch corrective. This would be corrective on the way down, of course. Yeah, I'd be looking for something like that. Understanding that we don't need to come down so far, but then also understanding that there is this, because you know, that's, but it's not trading into anything so sick. Honestly, it looked okay. Not surprised. I'm gonna leave it. If I come back to it and it's like all the way down here, fine, cool, I understand that. You know, we could be doing something like that, but more than likely, if we did something like this, yeah, I'd be all over this for sure for the long. Nice impulse, nice impulse. Steep correction though. Yeah, I'll leave this one anyway. I'm not bothered with GU right now, honestly. GU did look good before. There's that element of this high squeeze. I'm gonna leave that. Let's have a little look at New Zealand pairs. Yeah, New Zealand pairs do look good. New Zealand CAD looks good, but we're still in that corrective squeeze lower. This can go on for some time, but how we approached it does kind of give me that vibe that we could be seeing one more short. I don't want to get caught in this crappy price action, to be honest. It was, yeah, not for me. It's not me this week. I'm gonna leave that. If you guys are looking to take this, you know what, I would just simple. I would look at this point and this point. I would wait for this to do whatever it has to do above here, right? Because it can do this, it can do this, it can do this. And then when you do get that drop and you get that clear flag, I will take the flag there just to basically reduce the risk here. I would say if you did break below that low and you created a flag below here, coming off a base of momentum, I would say that's probably a little bit better. But then there's so many risks to this as well, like, you know, I can't really say I'd want to take this at all. Yeah, I mean, if you want to point it out, that's your daily sort of zone there. That's your 1, 2, 3, and then you kind of look at that as that's your trend. Now you've evolved it, you've become this. You are then looking to see if you can take that to go short to then move in for another move lower. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was very nice. Genuinely, I thought this looked much better than it was, but now I'm going to leave that one out actually. Filter that one off. New Zealand Swiss. Okay, let's have a little look at New Zealand Swiss. So we've tapped into that low. We're now in this range. I'm just going to once again leave that one out as well. I would want to see this come into here though at some point, do whatever it had to do. Probably not that angle there, but let's see, you did this and then you just started correctively coming in here and then you went up for one more and then this became something off your angle. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So I'll leave that one though for sure. Ooh, New Zealand yen. This is the other yen pair. Damn, you know what? I thought I wouldn't have a lot of yen pairs, but suddenly they are jumping. They're jumping out. They're looking good. Let's have a little look. So we've pretty much almost finished the forex pairs as well. Let's change this up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so inflection point. You know what? We can just aggressively push. I mean, that don't look too bad. It's bullish though. It's only negative confluence, but on the daily we're fully retraced on that. Go to the 4. We're coming in. Looks like the sequence is looking pretty good actually. If that's a flag, let's have a little look. Yeah, so not the cleanest. No clear entries for me on the 1 there. The 15. Nah, doesn't look like my typical sort of price action. Head and shoulders, maybe. Possibly. Come back up, down, back up. Nah, man. Not interested in. I'm not interested in NJ, man. I think NJ's. You know what? It does look nice though. I'll be honest with you. If the only thing I think I was really going to get in on this would be, oops, if I just push that up a little bit, we tap into this, we then come down, we come back up for a 1, 2, 3, and then we sell. That's the trade I'll look for on NJ, and I'll be happy with that. That risk, I think I could protect myself on that risk there as well. And I'll take the trade there, sized up 18. Yeah, for sure. And then into that low, you're probably looking around about 4%. And then if it does drop off, you could be looking at quite a big trade. So I'll bear that in mind. NJ, yeah, definitely made it. After some careful consideration, it's a no-brainer, man. It meets the criteria. Yes, there's an element of that near miss, but we could still bank about 10% before we get there. So I'm happy with that. This one. Okay, so give it some time. I'm looking for some structure to develop, real true structure, proper. So we're looking at something like that, continuing, and then maybe we'll get back in something like this. I am looking for that personally, and I think for that reason I'm not sure what the hell I'm looking for on US dollar, because all the structures are kind of saying that US dollar is going to go bullish, but currently we're seeing it sell. So if the US dollar sells, then we go a bit prematurely and this goes long, and then we could be up here and we go. So that could be the gameplay, and I think that's what I'll pretty much be looking for, and I'll take this off. I mean, could it be a running channel for this? Incomplete though. We didn't get anywhere. So I don't think that is also it. There's also that near miss there to that. Let's just wait and see. Really and truly, let's wait and see. I think a clear push above and a flag that could take us into next week, if I look at it correctly. So we push up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, and you could come on board with me for sure. All right, now finalizing with the US related pairs. Let's have a little look at these. All right, sick. So we've got USD dollar CAD. I'm looking for that value area, to be honest. This is just a corrective squeeze in my opinion. This is a corrective squeeze. I'm not interested in the corrective squeeze. Are we just making a messy middle section here? Possibly. This is possibly just becoming a very messy sort of middle section, and then next thing you know, we've dropped, created a floor, and then we're back up. And then we come to this high, and then we sell, and then we evolve a little bit more, and then we see it like that. Well, that's the gameplay. We come into there. So I will leave that one, and I'll just put an alert on that next week. It won't be on watch, but if we do happen to get there for some reason, at least I know. And then USD Swiss. Yes, my guy. USD Swiss is a sick one. So I was looking at this one, of course. Honestly, like over time, just becoming more and more of a favorite pair. We can see here with US dollar index, the DXY selling off. Let's quickly go back to that so we can have a little view. If we do move off aggressively, we are looking at the similar price action on these US related pairs here, especially US Swiss, which pretty much is like a bro to the DXY. How we're moving away though, once again, makes me think a little bit like, what is the real true game plan behind this? And that kind of feels a little bit more parallel, and then I would understand that something over there. But let's just quickly go to the 4. Oh man, honestly, this was just something else. We came in over there, created this flag, and we just dropped off. And I was looking at taking this trade, which was funny. We'd be managing probably with about seven locked in, running around about 11. Probably be a bit more aggressive at that point, with about 10 locked in, and then just let it do its thing. More than likely though, and I just remove this, we can just kind of make understanding of what's happening so far. Price is basically moving to the downside. We've descended, but we haven't had the commitment. We've broken out, but we're now giving off this, and it's not your most typical sort of continuation, but we can see it here. And now this kind of acting as the hover. I would like to see this with a strong break and then continuation to go to the downside. If that did follow through, then I would understand that. So I will be looking for something like this. And yeah, I'd be happy with that for sure, to take that into this low and then understand that, you know, on the table you've got probably in the region, call it around about 30 pip stop, why not? Anywhere between a 10 to 30 pip, 10 to 20, because you could probably squeeze in around about 15 as well. Yeah, about 10 to 20% there, depending on positioning. So yeah, we'll look at that one as well. And then we have US dollar yen, which one that gets me super hyped, but at the same time it's like, I just wish there was a little bit more to it. Little break above, push back in, you know. Anyway, we have tapped into it. I think maybe with a small little near miss, which is a bit of a clue, that we could be seeing something like that. So I wouldn't just be looking for the shorts just yet. If I was going to be looking for the shorts, I'm going to be waiting for probably a clear break out of this. But then there's also the understanding that, are we just filling that wick? So I would say personally, if you did get something around about here, understand the risk that comes with that, and then you kind of come into this area here. And then if you did start to pull back up, you know, you could then understand that this could then just be a part of something a little bit messy, a little bit larger. I would have to wait and see. But like I said, this is still something that I'm personally wanting to see, that and a strong momentum. Or if we follow through, we get momentum like that, I'm happy with that. That could shape up probably by the following week after. So I think I'll take UJ off, which does kind of bother me a little bit, because I would love to have UJ on, but it's just not at that sort of price where I need it to be at. However, actually no, I might put it back on. I've just thought, yeah, if we do come back up and then we push back in and create something like this, yeah, why not? I wouldn't write that off, because I understand where we are in structure and what's happening. So yeah, I would keep it very simple like that, and just look for that push out, push back in. Obviously, you know, there is room for this to continue going higher, which we are seeing with related pairs as well. So if we do go higher, then I would be looking for very plain and simple, a break above, continuation, break above, continuation, and then we go. And it could even be like that. So yeah, essentially those are pretty much it. I don't have USD SAR, but as much as I love USD SAR, yeah, I'm not gonna be taking any trades on it just yet. I think USD SAR definitely, there is a wick there. USD SAR does definitely have some potential to it, coming in over there at some point, but this could still kind of just drop off a little bit and then, you know, move up. This becomes some sort of corrective sort of bit, maybe even taps into this with a wick, and then we go. But yeah, like I said, there's so much more opportunity here. Go into the indices as well. Just going to quickly flick through them and just see them on the daily. Yeah, that's got some potential to it. Oh, I do like that. But yeah, no, I'm not touching that. US, okay, that's coming up. Probably going to tap into those areas. I think US 100 could definitely be one that comes on watch as well. Fuck, you know. Now we're at that high. If it was just above and then we create the flag here, I wouldn't mind that at all. But nope, not interested in that. On the other hand, US 30. I am interested in US 30 all of a sudden. Come on, mate, give me a good entry here. Yeah, sorry, I don't know, video cut off there again. 40, Dirt Germany 40. It's not looking too bad as well. Got that momentum squeeze to the upside. There is that room for something deeper to develop as well. So taking one of these flags would be a little bit higher risk. And then you just understand that if you did take something like that and that did develop into this, you then understand that, you know, the possibilities, or even if it did get a bit over forecasting there, doing this, you know, there's a few possibilities of what could really kind of shape up there. So something larger would make sense here as well, I'll be honest with you, just to give it enough momentum to go. But just understanding that this is pretty much good as it is. Aussie 200 as well. This is one that I know a lot of people around me have been looking at. You've got this sort of value area that's been tapped in, and then now we're coming into this sort of area. Do we then see it retrace from here, insurance entry, and then we go? It's possible, and that would make sense. But then, you know, there's the element, which I'm not looking at that as the angle for the ascending channel. I'm not bothered about that at all. I think if we are gonna sort of not commit, then now's the time where we just kind of push higher. So we'll have to wait and see. But that does, or is starting to look quite good as well for the short. So we can see that's a range play. But we did tap into that low. We pushed off with momentum. So I'm not really going to be putting out watch personally, because I understand that this massive corrective move is now potentially going to be moving back up to the upside. So that still could be a very good play, just to play the range. But like I said, it's not really my type of trade. And yeah, I don't think there's much there. Let's see the commodities. Commodities, gold. Yeah, we did tap into that low there, which is not. Oh no, we did have a bit of a near miss. We just started aggressively pushing away. with the DXY selling off, I wouldn't be surprised if gold goes higher. Looking at that, yeah, this could, and then maybe if we did get a drop like that, that could make sense as well, where we did get something larger like that. More than likely we'll probably just keep going if we did kind of do that. I don't think we're going to drop all the way back down here. I would more so be just understanding that, you know, you could even see something like that. Yeah, not very convinced of that, not very interested in this price action neither. Let's just wait and see what happens. If gold does drop and then kind of gives you opportunity to go, it does. Definitely doesn't look like it's going to be selling right now, for sure. That's one thing I'll be looking at daily. Silver. Oh yeah, I did look at silver yesterday. This was the other pair. All right, cool. So yeah, so silver is it's got potential for sure. And I'll just take this relay on here. I'll tap this in over here. You can see the daily that we do have that pin bar over here. Then you can see on the 4 that we essentially came in with this corrective sort of middle section to it as well. Not the nicest because of the angle, and it doesn't really kind of set things straight with, you know, what are we actually looking at for the purchasing or selling side of things. I'm interested to know if we do come back down one more, because if we do, that could also mean that with gold and so forth we could see that short play coming into play. Looking at it on the daily though, it's just one of those ones where we're seeing that ICI move where we have that push up, that correction, and that push up again, and then maybe we're trading into this area here to then come here. So that's why I would be more interested to then see, can we get continuation after we've broken all of this price here. Now I'm looking for clear, deliberate price action to then go higher, and that's simple. Something like that would make sense, and positioning myself on that to go long, yeah, why not? So I would look at that, and I wouldn't really look at this as a ascending channel or anything. I would just look at this as a simple impulse correction continuation now with the momentum coming into order. Could you add that on watch? Yeah, absolutely, you could put this on watch for sure. This definitely has massive potential. I just think that there's much better things on watch, so I wouldn't personally do that. Natural gas dropping off, looks pretty good. Haven't traded it once. Spread took me out for 4%, a bit too tight, wasn't I? And then never traded it again. Or maybe that was platinum, one or the other. Yeah, interesting. Not really interested in oil just yet. The forecast for it would be a larger flag, which would probably lead into December. So that's the trade that I would be looking for there. Palladium, nope. Platinum, interesting one as well. So yeah, that basically actually covers everything. So I think I said I was going to go back through GBP Swiss. Looking at this now and looking at everything else, I'm just going to leave that one out. GA though, on the other hand, do you know what? I might just keep it on a soft watch. I do have space for one more. I'll put it in there. I've got 16 now. I'm going to go through these again at the end of today in a different unit of time, just to kind of just filter through one last time to kind of see what I really want, and if I'm happy with it, I'll proceed, and then finally just annotate it tomorrow and go with it. But just kind of going through it one more time. These are the chosen pairs that I went through, so I'll put them in alphabetical order, shall I? Yep, okay, I'm quite happy with that. So we have, starting with Aussie CAD, we are looking for two potential scenarios where we basically create an internal expanding over here to push up, create a flag and continue to the upside, and then a 1, 2, 3 larger if that's possible, and then we continue to the upside. So I am looking for longs overall to play this overall range. Aussie New Zealand, I am looking for something counter on this actually. So I'm looking for a short where I'm basically seeing this as the momentum down, corrective though, so being aware of that, being aware that we can still go long, looking for a clear impulse down, close, strong 4 hour, could be a little bit lower, doesn't really matter, even if it's down here it's even better. Looking for a clear 1 hour continuation flag, and then I'm happy to go. This could shape up to be a 15 near up like here. If that does, fair enough, but more likely looking for a 1 hour somewhere in that area down here. Be more than happy with that, and then play that to the range play to the bottom over here. Next one is Aussie US dollar. Aussie US dollar is still not developed, so this would be more so as one that I would be putting on as a wild card additional pair. Just want to see this fully develop, create this 1 2 3 completion, break above, kind of extend, and then basically push back in, create a flag, and then we'll go for the short. Next one is Aussie yen. Aussie yen is also looking very, very nice. If I just go back to the daily for a second and I just give you some more chart space, we can then see over here that, you know, disregarding all of these highs up here because they are about 500 to about 800 pips away, we are looking at this as the value area 1, value area 2, and then we can see here that we're looking for an impulse above, push back down, flag continuation to the downside, potentially creating a head and shoulders to go in continuation to the downside. There is the element of this, but I wouldn't over forecast it at all and worry about that at all, and just understand that yeah, that adds an additional confluence that there is a 1 2 3 of equal spacing, arcing nature, and corrective price action to a middle section, overall corrective price action leading up towards it. RO3 was also corrective when you do really look at it closer. I do need to evaluate the next approach. Going into the 4 actually would be a little bit better because you can then see there was potentially an internal structure in there as well. If that does shape up, then we have an additional confluence to it as well. And then you could probably say entertain the risk entry, but I was still going for the reduced risk. Sorry to say reduced risk, I would be going in for the insurance entry. So that's what I'll be waiting for. I wouldn't be waiting for this large flag because I will be waiting till December for that, but I would be evaluating on this area on the inside. If I go back to the 1, when we do get that push above, which is probably going to be by Wednesday, trading in this area, then Thursday probably get the push down, then Friday flag shapes up and maybe we sell. So it would essentially be a very clear easy play, which would essentially be this. Oops. Yep. And that would be the gameplay for me, completing with that 1 2 3 with the internal 1 2 3, which then lines up with the higher time frame 1 2 3, which breaks above, pushes back in off the override, and that's it for AJ. Same with CJ in a sense, but just a little bit more less confluence in my opinion. So we do have this sort of 1 2 3 leading into it, and then if I draw to the 4, there is this sort of indecision sort of price action where we haven't got any commitment yet. I am just going to wait to see if this completes, if it lines up with AJ and other yen related pairs, which I will look at outside of my watch list but won't take any trades on it. At that point there in time, I will then look to see if it adds that additional confluence to take the trade. But more than likely, I'm going to be looking at that 1 2 3 completion. Not worried about this because that's super irrelevant. Want to see a break above, push back in under the override, and then taking that continuation. Otherwise, AJ is definitely the go-to. EuroCAD, looking at EuroCAD for essentially this because the top trend line isn't confirmed, and then going in for the short. But obviously, this is on the daily, so I'll just drop in on the 1 and put it on the 1 for a second. So we could come in with a lot of momentum over the course of, let's just say, Monday, and then by Tuesday we're up here, by Tuesday evening we're down here, Wednesday we create a flag, Thursday we sell off, and we're good to go. So that is basically what I'll be looking at for EuroCAD. And then you have Euro GBP, literally the same. Obviously we do have a little bit more confluences here, and I do like this one a lot, so I'm just going to move that straight over to my watch list in my top 6 because this has so many elements of a very good trade. Obviously understand that we are looking to go short, I get it, but we can still go long. So we do have elements and elements in here which are phenomenal. You know, it definitely screams out a phenomenal chart to be trading. Next one is Euro USD. I think Euro USD as well is just one that I'm putting on because I know with US related pairs we could be getting another good clear entry. At the moment in time I don't really know, but I would like to see if we tap into this. Do we just get an aggressive retrace back and then something like this forms? We then take it in here to understand that this is a possibility, which is very unlikely, but more than likely we could just you know, start plummeting. Not one big candle. Of course, there'll be some corrections and so forth on the way, but then is this the sequence to the downside? So I will be looking at that carefully, but for now, just evaluating this could easily make its way back up to the high. So it's either this line, and then we come into the next point, but then by this time, you know, there's a lot of room to get to this high here. So I'll be understanding that there is room for this now to become a little bit larger as well. So we are understanding that as a possibility as well. So keep that in mind. But EU is looking good. GA. Now this is the one that I was kind of iffy about, but look, this is the structure. If it shapes up, then at least I know what to do. We know that there is that one of a lesser angle that I was looking at as well, but I am looking at this as the overall structure. If I do get that, I'm happy with that because we have the near miss. If we do kind of gravitate, hit the low, that's one where I'll be looking for either push down on the flag to continue to the downside, or if we retrace up, aggressive impulse, 4 hour full bodied close, then I'll be looking at a continuation on the 1 hour to go to the upside to then fill this, to then see if we are playing this larger range, then overall looking at it to see how corrective it was in comparison to the impulse down. Is it worth staying in the position to go long, because then this could M star, or are we going to be looking to go short? More than likely this structure is the one I want to go for, so I'm going to wait for that. GU, GU is the one as well. Likewise, it looks like it has a lot of shorting potential, but at the moment we didn't move away just yet. It's just I want to wait and see. I haven't got clear confirmation on this just yet. Do we push off one more before we go? It's definitely a possible. I think with some news coming out on the day next week, so let's just stick on the 4. Yeah, there is some UK related news that's going to pump some volatility in the market. Maybe we see something like that and then boom, it just drops and just some reason does that, or we just create a floor and then we go. Hey, listen, anything's possible, man. This can just go up as well. I think out of all of them, this is my least favorite at the moment. I don't know why I put GU on here. Yeah, kind of looking at this now, I think I'm just gonna mark it as blue and have a look at it later. Look at GA again. Yep, GA was looking good. NJ. So we have that clear value area that we missed. Well, haven't missed, we haven't tapped into just yet, but we have this structure in here where we did kind of have a good daily retrace on it, followed in with a good 4 hour. Now going into the 1, are we going to get this? 2 touch is definitely a possible there as well, but I think I'm also looking for this structure here, one of the favorited ones for sure. Yeah, I'm going to put that in a watch list as well for sure. And then New Zealand US dollar. Yeah, this is just not yet fully ready. I don't know yet. We are still in that sort of corrective squeeze, so give it some time to materialize. How we're coming into it is interesting as well, and I think, you know, it's one of them ones where I think give it some time. Let's see how it plays. If we do get an entry in there and we don't go long, is what it is. New Zealand US dollar, we're only looking at the long because of how the DXY is moving, but a lot can change. A lot can change with just a couple candles, so I'll reforecast on that as well, because I will be looking to see if this happens as well. We push above and then we push back in, create a flag, and then we just start selling, and then it's completely changed, you know. And if we did get something like that, I couldn't say that I wasn't surprised, you know, with something like this where there was the element 1, 2, 3, push down, hover, sold, and then we're looking around thinking DXY is consolidating, it's going sideways or something. It's like, well, you just missed out on the range play, and then it is what it is. So a few variations of what could and is, but more than likely we know what's probable due to the DXY, but we also know what's very, very possible. I think, yeah, this one is for me for sure one that I really, really do like. I'm gonna put that in my watch list as well. Maybe it was just general push down on a flag from where it was, just due to the volatility and the volume we're seeing in the market. And then we have USD yen with the potential short, but we'd have to go long before we go short, which is the only thing which I'm just worried that we won't probably get. So the other situation is, if we do start selling aggressively, yeah, it's unlikely that we're just gonna go like this during this use. It's probably likely we're gonna possibly see something like this. Just see some structure which comes in like that, taps into this liquidity point, turns into that. Is that possible? Yeah, of course it is. Will that be ready next week? No. I don't know. I don't really know if that's going to be ready next week. I think that's a bit large. I think then at this point here you trade through this news. It kind of puts you off FOMC. Yeah, with FOMC as well. Fucking hell. Yeah, FOMC definitely gets you thinking about your trades, man. Shit. FOMC next week. Okay, it's on the 21st. That's not a bad problem. It's a good start to the week. FOMC Tuesday. All right, cool. Yeah, let's wait and see. I'm gonna keep that there. I'm gonna let FOMC play now to go through my watch list again. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Something like that. CPI, FOMC does change a lot. It's one of those ones where I think I'll keep my watch list as it is. Understand the possibilities of volatility in the market, value areas of where we could go to, and then as we approach Tuesday FOMC, as that plays out, then we can come back and look at it. I've gone off and set all my alerts and all my value areas. So if we hit FOMC and then I get like 15 alerts going off, you know, it is what it is. Just gonna have to just filter through it. So anyway, yeah, I can just imagine that now. You know, hits FOMC, hits not all, but a lot of the value. A lot of my alerts, and then you know, fucking hell, that's crazy. Yeah, so this one's very clear. I am looking for sort of continuation to the upside. I do understand that there could be an internal structure in here as well, something like that, which then makes this a two-touch. Take away that ray line, two-touch into that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's sick. That is sick. Cool. Yeah, that's my go-to. So let's size these up. So I put it in order now. Okay, that one, I think this one triumphs that one ever so slightly. Then we've got this. Oh, AU does look good, but FOMC, so I put it at the bottom there. Yeah, AJ looks sick. I think AJ goes on top. AJ's not really complete yet, so I'll put it down just below. CJ, CJ I think is below. Yeah, I'll put CJ above Aussie CAD. Euro CAD though, Euro CAD can go above CJ. Let's see. Yeah, I do like Aussie US dollar though, for sure. That can go above CJ. EU can probably stay above Aussie CAD. GA can stay where it is. New Zealand US dollar can probably go just above that as well. GA stays up, and then UJ, key UJ to bottom. I think this one goes all the way up here as well. Yeah, cool. So how many do we have? We have 3, so I can take the top 3 all. Do you know what, I like you, mate, but I don't think you made it to the top 3. Okay, cool. Shit, even EuroCAD made it in there as well. Alright, cool. And then now I've got 6. Fuck. Okay, would I filter this out? I guess so. Okay, you know what? It's gonna bother me. I'm gonna put that in my soft watch. We'll put these in the watch list. Yeah, so got my top list 6, got my soft watch. Oops, soft watch down here. Put USD. Additional pairs would be in here as well, and then daily watch list at the bottom. So daily watch list is definitely not open just yet. I did have Germany for US oil, just not ready yet. So US 30 will be there. Okay. And now we add these. Have I got any other oranges? No, I don't. Okay, cool. So yeah, you can definitely be a wild card. Does bother me a bit. Wild card. Yeah, I'm gonna filter CJ out. So that's wild card. Another wild card. It's only lucky because it's correlated with the DXY. Yeah, fuck. Like that one a lot. Cool. And this one I'm taking just because. Actually, you know what? I'll put that on my soft watch. Six. I could. Where is it? Which one is it? It was this one. Okay, Aussie CAD could go in here, and then GU was the one. I think after FOMC we're going to see something shift on this. No, I'm not looking for GPs. West FOMC. Could it be a game changer? Gosh, yeah. Let's do that. Let's look for the. I'm looking for the longs though, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna add that. Give it a chance. Alright, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is space for one more, to be fair. I could fit in one more. Which was, did I put UJ? No, I didn't add UJ. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, sick. So I mean that UJ is more of my soft watch, I'm not gonna lie, but I put US 30 there, so I actually always end up putting my indices there. I should just change it to indices. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's my top 6, my watch list. I am gonna go through the ones that I didn't filter again one more time, just to make sure that if I don't want to filter anything I asked out, if I do, then I'll swap it over, take something out, put this in. More than likely, I'm pretty happy with this watch list. So tomorrow, once I've swapped out anything, made any key decisions, reanalyze it one more time, and then tomorrow I will annotate it and add on any little extra bits I need to, set any alerts that I haven't, double check everything there. and be ready for next week. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video was very helpful and informative. I know it wasn't one of the most let's say one of the most best videos in terms of any sort of mindset technical questions, but you could definitely see the thought process behind why I filtered certain pairs on and took certain pairs out. So as always, have a good week, and I'll catch you in the next one.